Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're gonna tell the story about the Caliph Al-Ma'mun, who was the seventh Abbasid Caliph and reigned from the 813 until 833. So he was widely regarded as one of the influential and controversial figure in the Abbasid Caliphate, where he's known the patronage of the science and learning, as well as his involvement in the civil war against brother. So this led to diverse perspectives toward the Caliph al-Ma'mun, where some praised his contribution to the golden age of Islamic civilization, while others criticized his action and policy. Caliph al-Ma'mun was involved in the civil war against his brother, which is Caliph al-Ma'min, who was the caliph during that time. There are several factors. First, the Abbasid court was divided into factions, was supporting either Caliph al-Ma'mun or Caliph al-Amin, where the influential figure from the military, administration, also the religious sphere, will either support one of them to gain power and influence. So this both sides for rivalry and distrust between these two brothers. For example, like the Fadil ibn Rabi, who was from Caliph al-Amin's side, urged him to remove Caliph al-Ma'mun from the successor and as the governor of Khurasan, while on the other side, Al-Fadil ibn Sahil, a Khurasani aristocrat, persuaded Caliph al-Ma'mun to make alliance with Khurasani group to establish an independent state and also proclaim himself as imam. So this led to a succession dispute was the foundation of this conflict, where the Caliph al-Amin wrote the agreement in 810 by putting his son Musa as the heir of and also the Ali bin Isa as the governor of Khurasan. So in addition, Caliph al-Ma'mun proclaimed himself as imam, indirectly challenged Caliph al-Amin's authority as the caliph. So this led to distrust between them. In addition, there are also regional grievances, where excessive taxation demand, having a corruption, and also the social injustice, which lead to the hostility towards the caliphate. For example, the Khurasani people who were here that if Caliph al-Amin win the war against al-Ma'mun, put the Ali bin Isa as the governor of Khurasan, united in fear by siding with Caliph al-Ma'mun. It's because during the Harun al-Rashid time, Governor Ali bin Isa treated them with the unfair treatment. So the impact of the civil war resulted into the widespread violence, which led to the Battle of Ray, where the Caliph al-Ma'mun wins against the Caliph al-Amin, and this siege in the various cities that began on the 812, which led into Caliph al-Amin death and the end of his caliphate. So the city during this time was suffered significant damage, and the civilians were caught in this crossfire. Thousands of civilians were killed or displaced, which led to the economic and social fabric was disrupted. So disrupted of that rose economic instability, and also the intellectual also and learning was hindered, prevent the empire progress and advancement, as the Tahir himself destroyed everything outside the round city during this siege. And the second, this led to the weakened central authority as he's exposed to the external and internal conflict, where the lead to the regional autonomy, where this state will either support Caliph al-Ma'mun or Caliph al-Amin, where leading to fragmentation and autonomy. For example, like the place like the Egyptian and Western province are descended into anarchy as the result of the prolonged of the civil war, except the place of Khurasan and the frontier Byzantine area. In addition, this led to a sectarian divide between the Sunni and Shia, where the Caliph al-Ma'mun made a new alliance with the Shia and appointed a new heir from the Ali's family. In addition, Caliph al-Ma'mun made a new policy that inclusive towards the Shia family, which further exacerbated tension between them. So in conclusion, so the civil war has led to the bad impact rather than the positive impact, as they've been exposed to internal and external conflict, which weaken the central authority, where it's leading to gradually decline of the empire.
Al-Ma'mun, the most learned of the Abbasid Caliph, promoted a rationalist interpretation of Islam. He is considered to be the most influential supporter of both philosophy and science in the history of Islam. He was an advocate of disputing theological, logical, and legal matters in court. In Baghdad, Al-Ma'mun established the famous Baitul Hikmah, House of Wisdom, by combining an academy with a library. Every subject under the sun was covered by the books in the library, including literature, natural sciences, and logic. During his reign, a large amount of territory was consolidated. In order to support more academics in their studies, he later built a number of additional study centers and a space observatory. Many accounts attribute to Al-Ma'mun's contribution to the astrological work of Ban Musa, the composition of Al-Khwarizmi fundamental book on algebra, and the Arabic translation of Greek science and philosophy. At the House of Wisdom, people spoke and read in a variety of language, which includes Arabic, Farsi, Aramaic, Hebrew, Syriac, Greek, and Latin, to enable scholars to comprehend, discuss, and expand upon the ancient literature. Professionals labored tirelessly to translate them into Arabic, enabling Muslim academics to learn about foreign and historical civilizations. For example, Aristotle's Book of Animals was translated by Yohanna bin al-Batri al-Turjuman, also known as the translator Jonas, son of the Patriarch. Furthermore, it is reported that Caliph Al-Ma'mun encouraged translators and scholars to add to the library in the House of Wisdom by paying them the weight of each completed book in gold. He sent a group of academics to the Byzantine capital of Constantinople to buy documents related to philosophy and science. In order to preserve Greek learning and philosophy, and to have an extensive library of information, their aim was to translate as many of these well-known books as they could. Translation of literature in philosophy, science, and medicine were the goal of the Abbasids. Additionally, during Al-Ma'mun rule, Baitul Hikmah, which had previously focused on Persian knowledge, saw a shift in direction. He implemented a significant change in the imperial ideology in the last years of his rule. The acceptance of Mu'tazilism by Al-Ma'mun was one of the main features of his ideology. During the early Abbasid era, a rationalist theological movement known as Mu'tazilism developed within Islam. The importance Mu'tazilite thinking placed on reason and logical investigation in comprehending religious concepts was fundamental.
Did you know one of the continuity opponents of the Abbasid Caliphate during Al-Ma'mun reign was the Byzantine Empire, a powerful Christian country that controlled territories in Anatolia and the Mediterranean. The Abbasid Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire were long-lasting enemies with a lot of conflict and tension over territorial control and religious difference. Al-Ma'mun reign saw several military campaigns against the Byzantine Empire, particularly in Anatolia. The Abbasid forces aimed to expand their territory and claim dominance over strategic regions. Although sometimes Byzantine success, such as capture of Tarsus by Emperor Theophilus, Al-Ma'mun forces achieved significant victories, consolidating Abbasid control over certain Anatolian regions. Alongside these military campaigns, there were diplomatic efforts between Al-Ma'mun and Byzantine rulers like Theophilus. This diplomatic exchange aimed to negotiate peace treaties, ceasefire, and territorial concessions. Despite the tensions, there were instances of diplomatic engagement, with proposals for peace treaties and trade agreements being exchanged between the two powers. While military conflicts dominated much as the interaction between Abbasids and the Byzantine, there were also economic exchange and trading activities. trade route connecting the Abbasid Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire facilitated the exchange of goods, including luxury items, spices, textiles, and precious metals. Despite frequent disruptions caused by the military campaigns, commercial exchange still continued, driven by mutual economic interest and the demand for the goods in both empires. However, the relationship between Al-Ma'mun Abbasid Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire extend beyond military campaigns and economic phases. The religion and cultural differences between the Islamic Abbasid Caliphate and the Christian Byzantine Empire remain a source of tension and conflict. However, there is evidence that intellectual and cultural exchange also took place, particularly during Al-Ma'mun when which saw a flourish of knowledge and the translation of Greek into Arabic. However, the relationship between Al-Ma'mun Abbasid Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire was a conflict of continuity war, diplomatic efforts, economic change, and intellectual curiosity, reflecting the complicated geopolitical landscape of the medieval world. That's all from me. Thank you.
The Mina known as religious persecution, it was a product situation that took place during the Abbasid Caliphate roughly in 833 Common Era. This situation was a bad situation that happened under rule of Caliph Al-Ma'mun, where religious scholars were punished, imprisoned or even killed unless they conformed to Mu'tazila doctrine. Besides, it is also known as Abbasid Inquisition, which is to centralize religious power in the central government and test the loyalty of the subject. After the death of Caliph Al-Ma'mun, this situation was continued by the immediate successor, who is Al-Mu'tasim and Al-Wathiq. And finally, this situation was ended under the rule of Caliph Al-Mutawakkil.
During the reign of Caliph Al-Mansur in 754 to 775 Common Era, he was very interested in Greek ideology, philosophy and science, so that he even bought and collected the Greek manuscripts.
In 786 to 809 Common Era, Caliph Harun took over in ruling the Abbasids and also built a Baitul Hikmah. And his next successor, who is Caliph Al-Ma'mun, expanded the institutions. Al-Mansur's interest in Greek science has contributed to the foundations of the interpretation movement. Philosophers during the reigns of Al-Mansur began to be influenced by Greek philosophy and lead to the ideology of the Mu'tazila, which is rational ideology.
Under Caliph Al-Ma'mun, he started enforcing Mu'tazili doctrine as state orthodoxy, which is the Quran's creation origins and the need of reason over faith. Caliph Al-Ma'mun starts to be influenced due to his environment was surrounded by philosophers, scholars and theologians that lead to the change of thought.
Due to the influence of previous philosophers, Caliph Al-Ma'mun began to question the creations of the Quran. He believed that the Quran was not treated and it is eternal. This thought was posed a challenge to the unity of God because Caliph Al-Ma'mun was influenced by the Greek ideology that likes to question everything. Persecution began when the Mu'tazila doctrine faced opposition and was not supported by many Orthodox Sunni ulama, who had the people's ultimate support. Besides, this led to the jealousy or feeling of insecurity by Caliph Al-Ma'mun because majority of people support the Sunni ulama and their traditional Islamic doctrine instead of his ideology, which is Mu'tazila.
The Mihna happened when Caliph Al-Ma'mun wanted to test the loyalty of scholars and intellectuals to the Mu'tazili ideology. He want all of scholars such as ulama to believe and accept this ideology even though it may be lead to the deviance.
In addition, people who are not publicly accept or believe to his ideology, they will face the various persecution by him.
Besides, Caliph Al-Ma'mun want to reclaim the religious authority that belonged to earlier caliph because it had been seized by the growing influence of ulama.
This event was ended under the reign of Caliph al-Mutawakkil in 849 until 861 Common Era, due to his support in traditional Muslim faith and against the Mu'tazili doctrine and the Mihna event that had been established by Caliph al-Ma'mun. That's all from me. Thank you.
As everyone knows, during Abbasid, the expansion of the territories also included the non-Arab region. For example, the territories stretching from North Africa to Central Asia and even Europe. This expansion has given more challenges towards the administration of the Abbasid culturally and ethnically. However, these challenges did not affect the Abbasid Caliphate until the death of its decline. Moreover, these challenges have opened up key opportunities towards the non-Arabs to be part of the administrative and military, especially during the time of Al-Ma'mun, where the Turks' influence has expanded all around the Abbasids. After the period called Golden Age, the rise of the non-Arabs could be seen clearly after the death of Harun al-Rashid. During the time of Al-Ma'mun, he implemented the unification of the citizens under one roof which combined the Arabs and non-Arabs. He has absorbed the Turks into the three main important institutions in the country, which are administration, politics, and military. The Turks were initially recruited as slaves into the Abbasid military, especially in the elite corps called Mamluks. The Turks were also known as a very skillful army and knowledge in the military mark. The reason on why they were chosen to be military. The military was very important toward the country as it can prevent any threats toward the country and maintain territorial integrity. Over time, the soldiers divided again their powers and eventually took control over the military apparatus of the Abbasid Caliphate. This power has raised the Turks to control the Abbasid at that time. In addition, as the military commander of Turks has gained his power in the military, they took the opportunity to begin as the political influence in Abbasid Empire. Their generals often played a crucial role in the court politics of the Abbasid Caliphate. What is the most surprising thing was their generals sometimes acting as kingmakers by influencing the election of the Caliph and even serving as regents for the young Caliph. The strong position held by these generals shows how the Turks gained the encouragement in influencing the non-Arabs to rise up. Other than that, in terms of the administration, the Turks were appointed by the Caliph to be part of the bureaucracy toward the region given. This opportunity have enlightened the Turks to expand their influence in the Abbasid Empire. In conclusion, the rise of the Turks' influence was because of the openness from the leaders of the Abbasid Caliphate itself and the decline of the Abbasid Empire.